Hi, this is Daniel Posney, and this is Shifting Perspectives. This will be about 15, 20 minutes at the most of this topic concerning healing old relationship wounds. And my wife reminded me to get a little specific on the title. It's not necessarily love relationship, it's really any relationship. In fact, the ones that I'm going to talk about are not love relationships. And they're not so old. So maybe I should just say healing relationships, relationship wounds. Um, but there's a little bit of a understanding that needs to go before this, I think. And it kind of goes like this: if you've been fighting in your life, like considering your relationships with people that you don't like that person, you have some judgment about that person, and you're standing in this, you know, well, this is the way I feel about it, and that's the way it is. If you're fighting for anything but love, you're being controlled, and that doesn't feel good. And you're being controlled by your own mind. So think about these two things: that your heart is so open and so agreeable to anything that's love, and actually to anything that's your soul, if you will, your spirit. And then comes the mind. The mind has these judgments and has these ideas and these thoughts and these whispers in your ear, and that's the one that's controlling you. So as I'm talking, just check in with that to see if there's some kind of resistance that you don't want to, nope, no, I'm not going to do that with this person, kind of thing. And that's totally fine. And I get it. And before today, I wasn't really ready for myself to go there. So it comes or it doesn't come, or it comes whenever you're ready. And I just wasn't ready. And I was okay with that. I was okay with not being ready to really look at it. And it's kind of like, I want to just give myself that, even though it wasn't love, and even though it didn't serve me, I just still wanted to kind of just hold my position there and say, I know, but this is how I want to be for a little bit. But I knew at some point I was going to be ready to start looking at it. So the background is that there are three men in town that I have some issue with. And there's some amazing men here, and these are actually amazing men, but I've had some kind of a disagreement with them, or some issue with them, or some fallout with them. And I was very okay with just allowing them to be on one side of the town, I'm on the other side of the town, and we don't talk, we don't really do anything, and that's okay. Because how I was seeing them was that they were out of integrity, and I just didn't want to hang out with that. So as much as that was right, I was use my discernment, and there are some people that are out of integrity, and you just kind of, you go your own way. But it didn't really help me. It didn't really help heal what was inside of me. And I realized that, without the forgiveness, without the real looking at the reality of it, I was hurting myself. And yeah, I could say that, no, I was loving myself by keeping myself away. Yeah, to a certain extent. But then after a while, if it's still needling at you and it's still kind of poking at you, even if you say it's not, it's still there. If you have any emotional resistance to this person, it's affecting you. And if it's any different than what would happen when you died, then it's affecting you. So I realized that it was affecting me. And I did think about going to these people and having a conversation. But I don't think that that's necessary. I think that if I do it in a way that keeps my ego out of the way and their ego out of the way, then I do a lot more clearing this way. So here's what I did. I got the three guys that I had issue with, and I wanted to write down exactly what my thoughts were about them. Just no holds barred, just name calling and the whole thing. So here's what I came up with. So first of all, they all three have like a holier than thou position, at least. So this is my perception, and I'm just going to lay it out there. They have a holier than thou feeling of position and not of humble teacher. Person number one is a poser. He's not in integrity. He's in a position of authority or teacher and healing without sufficient training or experience. And he's doing things that normally people with 10 or 15 years would do because it takes some experience to deal with the issues that may come up that can get dangerous. And he's put himself in that position. And he's kind of like a fake it till you make it. And he's learned that from his upbringing, and it's just how he's learned. Person number two is a poser. He's aloof. He's got this fake heart, this fake softness, and he uses his Zen style to push away unwanted emotions and judges his relationships for their drama. And anybody that has any tough emotions, he says they're kind of beneath them, and he can't deal with it, and they can't deal with these people that aren't as enlightened as he is. So he manipulates with the spiritual ego and his passive aggressive behavior, and he's self-absorbed. Person number three is out of integrity with sexual energy and women in ceremony. In some of the most sacred places that people need to trust, especially women, he puts his sexual energy out there, and I've heard he's abused that. He allows others their false ideas of him for his benefit. So he portrays this certain ethnicity and doesn't really correct people, or doesn't say what his real ethnicity is. And he uses that to have people believe that who he is. So I needed to look at these, and they're very judgmental. They're very, name calling and all that. But that's what, if I'm honest with myself, that was going on in my head. I didn't want to say it out loud, but really those are my true feelings about these three people. And then the tough part. The tough part is asking myself, am I any of that? And it may be that I'm not that person now, but it didn't matter. If I have been any little bit of that in the past, that's the thing that I really needed to focus on. If at some point, this is the part I need to take a deep breath. Have I been a poser in the past? Have I, fake it till I make it? Have I put myself into a position of authority that's kind of right on the edge of, I shouldn't really be doing this, but I'll learn as I go along? Man, I've done a lot of that. And didn't I in the past say, it's my heart that's qualified? Didn't I in the past say, it's because of my passion and my heart that I am qualified to do this? And I don't need the certification from some other authority to give me the permission to do what I'm in love with. Didn't I say that in the past? And then, I've been out of integrity, not with other people, but with myself. And I know what that feels like. So here I am, I'm pointing the fingers at other people about not being in integrity and not having sufficient training. I had a job where I was a manager of a software company, didn't have any college degree, and I just learned how to do the programming work as I went along. And I did great at it. Did the same thing in the Navy. I kind of applied myself and did great and came out doing great. And same thing with what I'm doing now, as I've learned as I've gone along, and people ask me if I'm a certified life coach or I'm a psychologist, and I'm not. But I've over 15, 20 years, you do gain some experience, sometimes even beyond those certifications. And I have said along the way that it's really my direct experience that I've had that's been the most effective. Aloof. I know that I can see old pictures of myself when I was first going through a spiritual awakening, and I had this look on me like I can hardly look at myself. The way that I looked in the camera, like I was like, I am so much more spiritual than you. I and it's like, I have found my da da da, you know. You can see it on my face, and I just kind of cringe when I look at those pictures. But that's just where I was, and it was a phase, and it didn't last forever. But it was like I just was a little bit misguided on what this all meant, and so I can completely see myself in that. The fake heart and the fake softness, I was totally into that thing, believing that if I presented this zen, I am so peaceful softness and speak very softly, that I would be portrayed as someone that really, oh my gosh, that guy is so whatever. And it wasn't authentic. It wasn't really me, you know. There's still effective anger within me. There's effective passion within me. There's stuff that's not soft, and it gets kind of hard sometimes, but that's me authentically. And although I really want to be soft and zen and, you know, say that that's where I've come to, that's not my ultimate goal. It's not really who I am. It's part of me, but not all of me. Um, Manipulates with spiritual ego and passive aggressive behavior. Yeah, I've done that. And, you know, a lot of these things that I've noticed about these other guys, sexual energy and women in ceremony, not so much, but still, I know that my sexual energy kind of leaked out a couple times. And yeah, I can read through these and say, yeah, it's not who I am now, but really, I guess the main point have I forgiven myself for those times? And if I'm judging other people, other men mostly, of being these ways that I once was, if I'm still judging them, I still have some emotion about, you know, having an issue with them, then I probably haven't forgiven myself. I probably haven't had a conversation like this that needs to be had and said, okay, you were that way too. All those little issues that you have about these guys, you've kind of been that way, but you're expecting them to be some way that you yourself couldn't be without just some little bit more time, a little bit more experience, a little bit more humility, a little bit more seeing yourself and going, holy shit, look what you've become. Come on, get all to yourself, you know, stop coming out of your, you know, come out of your spiritual ego and stop coming out of your this kind of fake spiritual presence or something. So I feel a lot of release. I feel a lot of, it's not just letting them be released from my judgments, but allowing myself to be released from the judgments. Like, you know, this idea that I had to show up so perfectly all the time, and no one could see the kinks in my armor, or no one can see me have a beer or something. And man, that's a hard way to be spiritually perfect all the time. And I'm still not it. And I kind of enjoy that. I kind of enjoy finally being me, finally allowing myself to be me. And it goes closer and closer to who I was as a kid. You know, when I was a kid, I was probably spiritual without knowing it, but I was more authentic. I was more loving and open and sensitive and exploratory and adventurous. And, you know, just coming back to that is really who I really am. So these people that I've judged, you know, bless them, they've helped me to see myself. If I didn't have them as a reflection, maybe I wouldn't be able to get to a deeper place of self-love. So again, the process is just pick out some people that you have some issue with, that you know, say, you know, this person is this, you know, they're out of integrity, or you judge them for something. Write down all the stuff and just name call them and say all the things that you honestly think about them and more. Just let it kind of go. And then look through that list of all the things and check off the ones that you are still, or that you have been in the past. And then the next step is just forgive yourself, because you were there, now you're here, you're in a different place, hopefully. If you're not, then they're reflecting something that you could work on, so only for the purpose of loving yourself more. So you're great as you are, you're enough as you are, where you are right now, but where you're headed, you're not enough. Where you're headed with the next version of yourself, you're not enough right now to be there. But it's in loving yourself and releasing these things and seeing the reflection from these other people. They're all helping you. They're all helping you to reflect back those parts of yourself that you judge. And again, this is old Toltec wisdom, old beyond Aztec and Mayan civilization. There was a Toltecs, and they would say the similar thing. What you judge about another person is what you judge and don't love about yourself. And you push that aside and you spend your time seeing that reflected in other people and judging that in other people. So for me, this was a really good exercise. And I wrote down a little thing underneath each little paragraph of each one of these guys. And I had to write, I have done this in the past. And I thought, I come to one and I said, no, I haven't. No, yes, I have. Or some version of it. It doesn't have to be the same exact reflection, but if it has an element of that energy, you got to kind of write down, I have done that in the past. But once you do, there's this like a revelation of liberation that goes, okay, I can allow myself that I can see that I've done that. I'm working on it, or I've worked on it, and I've healed that. Now that's not where I am now, but I've let that go, and I've definitely healed and integrated that in my life. So that's it. That's what I wanted to talk about this morning. I hope this helps, and whatever judgment that you may have with someone, either living or not living, doesn't have to be loving relationship, doesn't have to be alive or not alive, just people that you still have some sort of an issue with. If you have some emotion around it, then there's something behind that. So thank you, love you, bless you, and talk to you next time.